Before sitting down to do this, I was thinking about how just because someone feels, just because the mind is imperfect or whatever, just because usually the problem with a person's ability to understand what they experience, it's difficult to be able to understand or translate or internalize what we experience when the experiences that we have are indescribable, and especially when they are unscientific in their nature. And the funny thing is, our very existence day to day is unscientific in nature. The reason that not everybody can really be a wise man or whatever you want to call it, doesn't matter. The reason that not everybody can be that, and the reason that they ought to be realized as being rare, is because it doesn't matter whether or not you experience a spiritual, whether or not you have a spiritual experience. It depends on the person's ability to actually interpret what they're experiencing in the correct way, or in a way, I shouldn't say correct, in a way that is both skeptical and at the same time completely open. It's very difficult to have that kind of a sponge mentality, or filter mentality. The reason that people end up thinking that they themselves are God, or that their reality is only a dream, is because in a certain sense they're right, but they don't understand in what way they're right. You yourself are not God, and the reality that you're experiencing is in fact an illusion, like a dream. I sometimes find myself in my day-to-day experience, damn it, I'm gonna sneeze. Ooh, that was good. That was nice. I sometimes find myself in my day-to-day experience, especially if it's a very novel experience. I mean, last night I had a very just miraculous night. Just incredible. Getting to the absolute depth of my own of my own self-understanding, self-discovery. The more you understand what self and I means, the more you realize that you don't exist as such. But at the same time, when you close one door, when you exit that concept, you enter into a new realization, which was greater than the past one. It's not necessarily that we create our own world. It's much more difficult and much more complicated than that. But when we think that we are God individually, and that we have this ability to do whatever, no, it's not that. It's that you are a phenomena, and that phenomena is what we call God, or at least what I call God. I think that it was the original inspiration for the concept of God and then it eventually was changed and changed and changed, eventually getting to the monotheism, which basically is saying that everything is one, and that oneness is God. That oneness of the universe is divine. But unfortunately, that ends up becoming, you can't have a religion that can control people if its message is that you are as you are, the absolute, or at least an aspect of it. I mean, are the fundamental pieces of us, is the DNA or the cells, are the cells more miraculous and incredible than me? They make me up. At least my body. Or at least this body. I don't like to, I don't want to rein in on anybody's parade, you know what I mean? Because that's not the nature of it. But you should always have, that's not the nature of my perspective, but you should always have a certain amount of skepticism about your own understanding about the stuff that you experience. That's the nature of a wise man. That's the nature of the sage. I've gotten to the point where these things aren't even thoughts. They aren't things to be grasped at, and it is a great, deep self-understanding. By that I mean understanding, getting to the lowest point of perspective, the most deep and at the same time zoomed out. I'm both in and out. In order to have a real journey that will end up making any kind of sense, you have to have a certain amount of both trust and criticism or skepticism. Because the reality is, first of all, it's subjective anyway. The only thing that we're trying to do by realizing who we are is to ultimately include everything. Because the reality is we are both atoms, and we are both time and space combined. Because we only exist once in this universe, think of how beautiful and rare we are. We're beyond time. We are beyond the gods. We're beyond any kind of divine existence, because we exist temporarily. That is the real miraculousness of our existence. That is the real profound beauty of our existence. So anybody that sees it as something more, something magical, something mystical, what you're looking for is you're trying too hard, I guess. You're grasping for things that it's almost like if you try to grasp at something that's false, and then you try and hold that in your hand and marvel at it, it's really only as beautiful as a stone compared to a flower. we want things that are permanent or that are solid and have a certain amount of consistency or strength to it. But the reality is what we are really looking for is something fragile, something incomprehensibly beautiful, if we really consider it, and something that's beyond ourselves. So, I mean, it's so far beyond the idea of me, because me, when you really look at it, is just an illusion. It's all just an illusion. What we are, like I said, we are what we are, but we aren't what we think we are.